So myself, Dr. Keshu, Department of Pharmacology, PVM College of Pharmacy. So last class we discussed about the citric acid cycle. This class we can discuss about excess monophosphate shunt. This pathway is also we can call as pentose pathway. Why it is called in this during the HMP pathway, we can observe the formation of ribose 6-phosphate. So the pentose is formed. That's what is called as a pentose pathway. It is also called as a phosphogluconate pathway. So in the during the reaction, the phosphogluconate is also formed. That's why it is also called as a phosphogluconate pathway. So where it is the location of the HMP shunt pathway, it is mainly occurs in cytosol, particularly liver, adipose tissue, thyroid gland, RBCs, and testes, and adrenal cortex. It is particularly in these tissues more active when compared the other tissues, nothing but skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and non-lacting mammary glands. See, the HMP shunt pathway is also, we can say that alternative to glycolysis. Why it is called? Suppose if you observe here, in the glycolysis, the glucose moderate flow takes place. Then if you observe here, the large glucose flux takes place in the both in the HMP, nothing but the pentose phosphate pathway and glycolysis. So if the glucose is available more, the more pathways takes place. So if it is glycolysis not split takes place, at least this flow pentose phosphate pathway occurs. So come to the main pathway, the reactions. Here the first molecule is glucose 6-phosphate. So you know the glucose phosphate 6-phosphate where it is formed, already we studied. In the glycolysis, glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate. The glucose phosphate 6-phosphate also it is entered here. Because of cytosol have the, because of the glycolysis it takes place in the cytosol, the HMP shunt pathway also takes place in the cytosol. So, but here in the presence of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrose enzyme present in the cytosol, that's why immediately the glucose 6-phosphate is converted to 6-phosphogluconolactone. The presence of this enzyme dehydrogenase enzyme. Then here the formation of NADP plus and NADPH. Here we can observe the one thing, that is in glycolysis, NAD plus converted into NADH plus H, but here NADP. Fine. The 6-phosphogluconolactone is converted into 6-phosphogluconate in the presence of gluconolactonase enzyme. Then the 6-phosphogluconate is converted into ribulase 5-phosphate in the presence of 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase enzyme. So here, when the dehydrogenase enzyme came, removal of one hydrogen molecule from the substrate. Here one hydrogen molecule removed and added to the NADPH. Here again one more hydrogen molecule removed and added to the NADPH. At the same time here, it loses the carbon dioxide. It loses the carbon dioxide so that it forms the ribulose 5-phosphate. It is a 5-carbon atom. That's why it is a pentose phosphate pathway. Pentose phosphate pathway. And why it is called exoso monophosphate? Here only one phosphate one phosphate into that way is a monophosphate pathway. So up to here, we can call as oxidative phase. This is called as oxidative phase. Glucose 6-phosphate to ribose 5-phosphate formation we can call as oxidative phase because of the removal of hydrogen molecule. Removal of hydrogen molecule. Glucose 6-phosphate removal one hydrogen molecule to produce this here. And again here 6-phosphogluconate here also one hydrogen molecule also removed here. That's why it is a oxidative phase. And here no ATP utilized. Here no ATP utilized. So this is the how the in structural level the glucose 6-phosphate in the presence of dehydrogenation to form the lactone ring. And the presence of lactonase enzyme is converted into 6-phosphogluconate. Then after that 6-phosphogluconate into dehydrogenation converted to ribulose 5-phosphate. Same thing. Then come to the non-oxidative phase. Once the formation of ribulose 5-phosphate, the formation of ribulose 5-phosphate in the presence of epimerase enzyme, in the presence of epimerase enzyme is converted into xylulose 5-phosphate. Xylulose 5-phosphate. This one also 5-member ring, 5-member compound. Then again, ribulose 5-phosphate in the presence of isomerase phosphate, in the presence of isomerase enzyme, it is converted into ribose 5-phosphate. Ribose 5-phosphate. So both are depending upon the enzyme availability. Suppose this is 50% available, so 50% formation of xylulose 5-phosphate and 50% of ribose 5-phosphate. So once these formed, after that the enzyme, the transketolase to form the pseudoheptulose 7-phosphate. How? Pseudo means 7 carbon atoms. So what this enzyme, it takes the 2 carbons molecules of the xylulose, it took up and added to the transfer to the ribose 5-phosphate. So ribose is a 5 carbon atom. So these 5 carbon molecule is converted into 7 carbon molecule, that is pseudoheptulase 7-phosphate in the presence of transketolase. Remaining 3 molecules, three atoms of molecule, it is formed the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Also I'm repeating. The ribulose 5-phosphate is converted into xylulose 5-phosphate and ribose phosphate to the respective enzyme, here epimerase and isomerase. Once it is formed, the transketolase transfers the two carbon atoms fragment, 2 carbon atom fragment ketolase, it break it and to add to the ribose 5-phosphate. So because of this, the ribose 5-phosphate to form the pseudoheptulase. Then remaining 3 carbon atom to form the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate molecule. Then after that, these glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, again glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, taking from the 3 atoms of 3 carbon atoms from the pseudoheptulase to form the fructose 6-phosphate. In the presence of transaldolase, the transaldolase enzyme, the function is to transfer the 3 molecules present 3 atoms. So 3 atoms in the that fragment, 3 carbon atom fragment into the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So here 3 and here 3. So total 6 carbon atoms of fructose 6-phosphate is formed, remaining to form the erythrose 4-phosphate. These erythrose 4-phosphate, again in the presence of transketolase enzyme, it take the two two carbon atom molecules from the xylulose 5-phosphate and transfer to the erythrose 4-phosphate and to form the fructose 6-phosphate. To form the fructose 6-phosphate. Remaining the three carbon atom to form the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Again, the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Again, here either maybe it is involved, or these glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate may be enter into the glycolysis process. This is because of all reactions occurs in the cytosol. So once again, I'm repeating up to here. Okay, the ribulose 5-phosphate, when it is formed, ribulose 5-phosphate is converted to ribo 5-phosphate and xylulose 5-phosphate. The trans-ketolase function is to form this pseudoheptylase 7-phosphate because of the two carbon atoms added to the ribose 5-phosphate. Then after that, formation of pseudoheptylase 7-phosphate in the presence of trans-aldolase enzyme, to form the to break it. It will break. It will break, and these glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, taken up the three carbon atom molecules, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate converted into fructose 6-phosphate in the presence of trans-aldolase enzyme. Just to remember this up. Then again, erythrose 4-phosphate in the presence of trans-ketolase enzyme from the xylulose 5-phosphate. From the xylulose 5-phosphate, take these two carbon atom molecules to form the fructose 6-phosphate. As remaining the three carbon molecule to form the glyceraldehyde. Because of here, the two carbon molecules, when it is attached to the erythrose 4-phosphate, the remaining three carbon molecules to form the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. How it is happened takes place here. It is the here non-oxidative phase from the ribulose to fructose 6-phosphate formation is a non-oxidative phase. In the exose, see, this is whatever the formation of these fructose 6-phosphate. Again, maybe it is involved in the glycolysis process. Depending upon the enzymes available to the streaming, the reactions that takes place in the cytosol. So in the regulation of the exose monophosphate pathway, or HMP shunt, the main enzyme is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme, and other dehydrogenase enzymes mainly. And if NADPH levels are more, the dehydrogenase enzymes are inhibited. Once the NADPHs are formed in the cytosol, because of when the HMP shunt pathway, if it is on the stream or if it is going on, the NADPHs are formed. If the NADPH is more, it inhibits this enzyme. It is limited. So if NADPHs are formed in the cytosol, it inhibits the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase and other dehydrogenase enzyme. So the HMP shunt pathway will be stopped. So when it is inhibited, when the minimum levels of NADPH in the present in the cytosol, when the NADPH it is formed, when the glucose 6-phosphate is converted into 6-phosphogluconolactone, and then after 6-phosphogluconate. So during that time only the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase is converted into this. So that time also NADPH are formed. These levels, when it is increased, not few amount, it does not affect. But if the levels of NADPH, if it is more, it inhibits this enzyme, there is no formation of HMP shunt pathway. Insulin induces the synthesis of these. So if the person taking the insulin, means boosting the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme and other 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase enzyme. Both are dehydrogenase enzymes. So the insulin enzyme to initiate or to boosting the dehydrogenase enzymes. So activity of these enzymes also increases in lipogenesis. So these dehydrogenase enzymes also important for the fatty acid synthesis and steroid synthesis. Because of the NADPH plus H plus for the it is useful for the synthesis of fatty acids. Thyroid hormone also lead to increased activity of the dehydrogenase enzyme increase in the HMP pathway. So these NADPH plus H plus to increases the hormones formation also. See how it is biological importance for the exose monophosphate pathway. See these exose monophosphate pathway, if it is happen to provides the NADPH plus H plus and provides the pentoses. So I will show you here the NADPH plus H plus are formed. So this pathway, because of this pathway, to produce the NADPH plus and some pentose phosphate, is ribose 5-phosphate and xylose 5-phosphate. So and these because of these are provided, these are involved in the for the other synthesis. See, let me let you know. So importance of significance of HMP if it is takes place, it produces the pentoses and NADPH. It is very essential for the biosynthetic reaction and other functions, especially in pentoses. So the pentoses is formed ribulase and cellulose and ribose 5-phosphates or 3-phosphates upon 3-phosphates in the synthesis of nucleic acids, RNA and DNA, and many nucleotides such as adenosine triphosphate, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and flavin adenine dinucleotide, and coenzyme A. So these pentoses are involved in the synthesis of nucleic acids and nucleotides. Simple. That is the use of the pentoses. Where the pentose is formed in HMP Shunt pathway. That the intermediate metabolites utilized by the nucleus immediately if it is formed. It's the importance of NADPH. The NADPH act as a reducing agent. NADPH act as a reducing agent. Because of that activity, to form the fatty acids and the steroids. Once again, the biological importance of the NADPH is NADPH acts as a reducing agent. Because of that reducing agent capability, it is utilized in the synthesis of fatty acids and steroids. Next, that NADPH also it is utilized in the synthesis of some amino acids. Some amino, especially glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. Glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. And also it detoxify because of NADPH have the reducing property. NADPH have the reducing property. Because of that, the superoxides, when it is formed, superoxide means highly reactive components. Suppose, for example, hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide actually to damage our cells. But when the NADPH it is formed, it will neutralize. It will neutralize. So there is a continuous production of hydrogen peroxide in the living cells. So because of the it is damage of lipids and cell membrane. So if the NADPH it is formed, it will neutralize the hydrogen peroxide. And so microsome cytochrome P450 brings about the detoxification of drugs for relief. So cytochrome P450, it is present in the liver. It is a very important enzyme. The enzyme function is to produce hydroxylation of to produce hydroxylation to the drugs or any toxic substance. If you take any drug, it is entered into the liver. In that liver, detoxified by the adding of water molecule. How it is happen in the presence of cytochrome P450 enzyme. For that, the NADPH involved. NADPH when it is involved, the drugs will be detoxified. It's one of the process. Next, phagocytosis, engulfing of foreign materials or any microorganisms, we can call it as a phagocytosis, especially the white blood cells. They engulf the foreign materials or microorganisms. During the time also NADPH are involved. That's why biological importance. And one more very, very important is the NADPH maintain the integrity of the cell membrane of the RBC. Once and I'm repeating, the NADPH is very, very essential. The RBC cell membrane integrity, because of the NADPH, because of to maintain the NAD cell membrane structure, cell membrane integrity, as well as to maintain the hemoglobin in the ferrous ion level, not in ferric. Because of NADPH acts as a reducing capability. Because of that capability only, the iron, it is in the form of state is ferrous, not in ferric. Because of that only, also one more, it is does not takes place hemolysis. Does not take place hemolysis. So when the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency takes place, if it is occurs, hemolysis takes place. Hemolysis, erythrocytes, lysis takes place because of the NADPH molecule to maintain the cell membrane integrity as well as the ion status in the ferrous. If these two, when it is lost, the blood will be nothing but the RBC will be lysis takes place. So that's why here the glucose 6 deficiency is yani. Sometimes it is inherited with very few people. So here leading to hemolysis because of the NADPH maintain the RBC membrane integrity as well as if any superoxide enter into the blood, it will be neutralized in the blood. Blood is online. It is systemic circulation in the blood. If any free radicals or superoxides or hydrogen peroxide, if it is enter immediately, that neutralized by the NADPH. That's why it is very, very essential. So if it is deficiency, if it is a deficiency, is there hemolysis? Usually, the levels of Glucose 6-phosphate, very minute. If you see clinical manifestation in glucose 6-phosphate deficiency means if the person exposed to severe infections, if the person infected severe infections, or if the person taken more oxidative agents. So the two possibilities there. Hemolysis, when it is normally, if the person human deficiency, if glucose 6-phosphate deficiency is there, but the symptoms are not exposed. When it is exposed, the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency patient cannot exhibit, it cannot show the clinical symptoms or manifestations symptoms. It cannot show first. When it show more and when it occurs, if that person is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency patient, that person, if it is taken more, if the person taken the more accident oxidation forming drugs, some anti-malarial drugs, some other drugs is there. See, these anti-malarial and antipyretic sulfamethoxide, these drug produces the more oxidative species. So when these oxidative species are more, if it is increased to damage the RBC cell membrane, the lysis takes place. If the NADPH is there, it will neutralize. You got it, my point. So the time the patient will be exposed, clinical manifestations are produced. But glucose 6-phosphate deficiency, dehydrogenase deficiency, resistance to malaria. Why? Because that NADPH, plays the important role for the growth of malaria parasite. So if the NADPH is not formed, the malaria cannot survive, means cannot grow properly. So the glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, if it takes place, they are resistant to malaria. This is the regarding the glucose 6-phosphate pathway and glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. Sir, good evening, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.